Welcome to the Impact Multiplier CEO podcast. If you're a chief executive, or if you think like one, and you want to create exponentially greater impact, then this show is for you. My name is Richard Medcalf, founder of Xquadrant. I coach some of the most successful and impressive CEOs and executive teams on the planet and help them achieve extraordinary results. And no matter how successful you've been in the past, there's always a whole new level of impact available to you. So, if you're ready to play a bigger game than ever before, I invite you to join us and become an Impact Multiplier CEO. Hello and welcome to Season 4 of the Impact Multiplier CEO podcast. My name's Richard Medcalf. I'm the founder of Xquadrant. And in this season, we're going to dive in to what makes some of the world's most interesting and impressive and successful chief executives successful, and what's the shift that they need to make in the coming years or coming months for them to take their own impact to an even higher level. You see, we all have a success formula, a set of habits, strengths, beliefs, disciplines, ways of working that create the results that we get. And we've optimized those over time, and for many of us, they're now creating great results for us. Perhaps we know how to manage a team, think strategically, influence people, free our time up for what matters most, release commitment, all these different areas. But of course, our results are coming from those success formulae. But there's always another level. And if we can adjust something about the way that we create value, we can potentially find a new level of value. We can actually go beyond where we are today. And of course, the difficulty here is that when you're at the top of your game, when you're at the top of the organization, that can feel a bit scary. Why would you want to break something that works? But of course, we know that sometimes you can be on the top of your game, and if you don't change something, you can stagnate. Whereas if you do, you can go to a whole new level. I like to think about certain rock bands or music stars who've really mastered this. Rather than staying in the same old style for year after year, decade after decade, the best bands, in my view, are the ones that actually pick up on a new trend, on a new style, realize that there's something more that they can give rather than just regurgitating more of the same format that made them originally successful. I can think of bands like Queen, one of my favorites, U2, Madonna. I'm sure you can add many more to the list, but all of these people knew how to shift and bring something new out of themselves, and they created extraordinary results. In the business world, it's the same, right? And what I'm going to do in this series is to interview some incredible CEOs. Some of these people have got high growth startups of a few hundred people. Some of these are serial entrepreneurs. Some have got corporate roles, managing thousands of people, sometimes tens of thousands of people, all of whom have had incredible success. And what we're going to do is dive in and understand what's their success formula. How's it worked? What have they learned? What can they pass on? And also, what's the dark side of that been? What's held them back? And finally, how might they need to reinvent themselves for the months and years to come? What's the opportunity for them to play a bigger game? That's what we're going to get into in Season 4. CEO Success Formulae. I'd love you to listen in for insight. How does this apply to you? What tips can you take away for your own leadership? What might you want to reconsider in terms of your own success formula? And how can you share this with your colleagues to create an environment where everybody is upping their game? If you're not familiar with the other seasons of the podcast, let me just summarize what we've done so far. In season 1, we just got going and we focused in on the impact multipliers, 5 ways that successful executives scale their impact, even when there's no more hours in the day and they don't want to make things more complicated. Season 2, we got into an interview style format, looking at leadership lessons in challenging times. What happens when huge disruptions like COVID hit and we need to change the way that we run our business very fast. The last season, season 3, was focused on high value creating leadership teams. How can we take the value that our leadership team creates and how do we multiply that by focusing on some of the common pitfalls that executive teams find themselves falling into? And now, the season ahead, sit back and enjoy as we dive into CEO Success Formulae. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Now let's talk about you. When you're in top leadership, when you're in the biggest role of your career, who supports you at a deep level as you lead others? Who helps you multiply your impact and get to the next level? If you're ready to learn more about our content, our coaching, and our community, then visit us at xquadrant.com.